Same. Huh. Well, we are live. Matt just texted me same. I don't know what that means. Is he in something else?
He said same.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where he is though. Good morning, everyone. Yeah. Got Ned here. Welcome back. It's been a while since you've been on.
It's been a minute.
How's everything been?
It's been good. I just got back from a wedding I went to, / a small little mini vacation to Florida. Oh, there he is.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. What's up, fellas?
I
don't know. You text me same, and I'm like, what do you mean you're same?
I was like, you said you were in, and I was like, dude, I'm logging on. Just like same thing. Dude, you know what I had to make a pre-order of those Taylor Swift's cookies so we could bring down to our guests this weekend, man. Taylor Swift coming in New Orleans, bro, bringing in a whole economy. So
get off the channel.
I mean, a bunch of girls in the coffee shop were putting together like beads for friendship bracelets or something. I don't know what's going on.
Dude, it's wild.
All right, we are just randomly off topic already, but yeah. So I don't know if anyone saw the thumbnail. Trump holding up the McDonald's bag, but yeah, we're gonna kind of just talk about that a little bit and just see what questions roll in. But maybe we can kind of gear it towards maybe your first job or how you can relate working in. Maybe whatever job you started off as a teenager, what skills you may have learned or helped you maybe progress or help you in real estate or whatever your financial goals are. So, Ned, maybe you can start us off a little bit.
I mean, I started off, my family's got a family business that's been around for a while. And so when I was really little, I don't know, anywhere from 13 to probably 15 or so, I was doing janitor work. I was going around the halls with a mop, and then when I was old enough, they put me out in the yard with a bunch of the mechanical equipment, and I was doing oil changes and tire swaps and plugging nails holes in tires and doing transmission swaps as I got more. They just kept giving me more complicated, bigger stuff as I grew up. And it's kind of like, if I got off school a little early, as I got older, Dad would bring me to work. And when I was really little, I would roll my little police cars and fighter jets around the office and hang out with whoever was able to make sure I wasn't falling and breaking my head or something. But as I got older, they gave me more responsibilities, and I don't know, it just started really young for me.
What a loser. Police car. Come on, fire engine or something.
I had all sorts of little Hot Wheels things, man. I couldn't think of anything.
Dude, when you can fix one, though, you can apply those skills and fix the rest of them. So
yeah.
Well, I want to give a quick shout out to Hyder for always coming by and supporting. I know he's tired, but you got to go check out his YouTube channel. He has a new short out talking about his skunk story. So go check it out. No, he doesn't have a skunk. He has a story on it, but he's talking about it on his channel. So go check it out and give him some support also. But yeah, Matt, what about you? What was maybe your first workforce experience or whatnot?
So my first workforce experience was working in the food service industry at Outback. And so when I was at Outback, I was, first you start off, especially I was going to school at the same time. So you start off like host, waiter, and then I pretty much stayed in the to-go realm, like food to go. And I think the biggest thing I learned is the whole, the whole phrase, like the customer is always right. I think that gives you a definite new perspective working in the food service industry, being a lot more patient with people. And sometimes, you have to pick and choose your battles. And that was, I don't know, I think you definitely treat people differently coming from the food service industry when you go to restaurants, because you kind of have that experience to lead on. And, you meet some good people and you meet some bad people. I think that's just the nature of life.
Hyder says skunk make great pets from what I've heard. very intelligent animals.
I think you got to get some glands removed though for that to be viable.
Well, you gotta go listen to the video to find out more about it. But go give Hyder some support and go subscribe to his channel if you haven't. But how, I forget, did you guys mention how old you guys started working, I guess, or collecting a paycheck a little bit?
It was probably 14 to 16. It wasn't like, it was like a couple hours here or there, and it kind of grew in amounts as I got able to focus longer. But I mean, I really, honestly, the only work I look back on that I really miss doing is mechanic work. I loved doing oil changes and transmission swaps and working on cars and stuff. That's just fun for me, at least.
Yeah, that's a cool hobby.
Yeah, mine was Blockbuster.
Yeah.
What was it? Right out of high school. That was my first.
Do you follow the Twitter account?
Job. Do they even have one?
I think there's one store left, and it's in like Alaska or something like that. And their Twitter is hilarious.
Is it?
They're constantly trolling and like saying like messed up things to Netflix.
I believe it.
Yeah, man, that was the thing. Friday, Saturday nights, Blockbuster. People would come in with their families, their kids. It was a fun time, and I mean, we can go down that route after about maybe business decisions or not taking advantage of things, and they kind of thought the market wasn't going to change, and they kind of got stuck in their ways, and like you talked about, Netflix kind of leapfrogged them, but yeah, I mean, what do you guys think of the whole Trump photo op thing at McDonald's, and are you guys ready for this election to be over with?
Oh man, yeah, the uncertainty. It's just on both sides too, right? They're all doing kind of their photo ops, right? Like that's just how they play the game, and I think it'll be good for all the uncertainty to kind of go at bay once the decision is made. So
I think the McDonald's move was pretty funny because wasn't there some curiosity about whether or not Kamala worked at McDonald's or which one or how long or what time or whatever?
Yeah.
And so Trump was like, hey, look, I worked there yesterday. It's just like he's just constantly memeing. So I think it's just really entertaining that he like will lean into a meme or whatever is bothering people, and it just drives people either crazy or it makes you laugh, whichever way. He's not terrible at getting attention, let's just put it that way.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, he's a marketer. He's a businessman, and I'll say it. I'm voting for the businessman over the politician. So that's kind of my simple take on it.
Clean sweep here.
But, yeah, I mean, I actually really enjoyed watching Dave Ramsey with Tucker Carlson, their interview or podcast. But Dave Ramsey kind of, he doesn't get very political, but you see him kind of voicing his thoughts on it recently in a lot of episodes. But he kind of put it simply, like, with one candidate, you have so much uncertainty, you don't kind of know what the policies are, where the other candidate, you kind of, maybe you don't agree with a lot of them, but at least you have an idea what the plan is, and now you can kind of adapt your business or your plans accordingly. So I think that's one way to look at it, right? One's giving you at least some sort of idea how you're going to move forward with whatever plans you have.
Oh, I bet that's a pretty interesting conversation. I'll have to check it out with Dave Ramsey, because I feel like he is actually he's a real estate guy that's bought properties with cash, but I think his financial philosophy is very relevant for those that are either just getting started or already behind the eight ball with debt. So I think you can either agree or disagree, but he's got such a large following. Lots of influence, and I feel like he's he's had positive impacts for those that are, struggling with, balancing a budget and getting out of debt, whether it's, that snowball, whatever, the strategy is. I think he's got a, good message for those people as well. So I'll be going to check out.
Well, another thing that people don't necessarily mention a lot, I think it's just because it's not the same world that most of us play in, but in the commercial real estate world, a huge percentage of the buildings out there, especially the smaller mom and pop buildings in mid to small size cities, don't have any debt on them. So his model is for real estate, specifically smaller commercial, less that like New York stuff. Probably there's more debt on that kind of stuff. It's just so big and the yields are so low. But the mom and pop landlords in smaller and mid-sized towns across America do not use a whole lot of debt. They might use some in the beginning of their portfolio, like a lot of us have. But if you're talking with a lot of older landlords at the coffee shop downtown in a small town, they're kind of like, bank? I don't use bank for anything other than depositing my rent. So.
Joe V, he says, is it people don't agree with Trump's policies or that people don't like his Twitter comments?
I'd probably say people just, instead of voting for, they just hate one side. So it's the default is the other side. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of how people treat his comments and his media attention. And it's like, yeah, dude, this guy gets so much publicity, so much attention. And, can you deal with a couple mean tweets here and there? I don't know. Right. Like, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think a lot, it's, people are very sensitive maybe, or they don't like the way he comes off saying it. But I think to your point though, it's really, and I forget who they were talking about him on another podcast I was listening to, and they made a great point where you really have to, it's what seat you're sitting in or what view you're trying to understand what he's saying. Like when he talks about tariffs, right? A lot of people are like, yeah, people are trying to say he doesn't understand tariffs, but it's like, he's also saying it in a way, like he's trying to show his strength to China in a sense, right? Like he's focusing what his words are towards them, not to the people here. So even though he's saying it in a certain way, what he's actually going to do is not going to be that exact thing, that how he's kind of putting it out there, right? Like, so if you're looking at it from China's standpoint, he's trying to say he's going to do this, and almost a kind of a bully in a sense, right? Where as an American, and you're looking at it like, oh, this guy's an idiot. Why is he going to do this and this? So it's also like where you're sitting, right, and where you're trying to understand what he's saying. So a lot of times he's saying certain things, like you're saying, like to kind of as a character in a sense, right? Like a lot of people say, it's like a WWE character. He has this persona and he's playing this certain role, but what he actually does or his actions, after is a lot more, I guess, calm in a sense, right? So I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't seem to understand about him, I think.
Well, also, I mean, the way you talk to a general audience versus the way you talk to someone. So like the way he's going to speak in, like, let's say a Business Insider interview is going to be drastically different than the way he speaks on the general news. 'Cause, I mean, you look at like what reading level is it that a newspaper's right at? Is it 6th grade or something like that? I can't remember what grade it is, but it's in order to get the broadest appeal to connect to and have the most people understand what you're talking about. You can't get too deep in the weeds because no one wants to hear about specific economic policy, because only a small percentage of people listening care and or understand all that stuff. I mean, we would all change the channel if he started to go into a PhD analysis, if he could, of whatever he was doing on, deploying capital and interest rates in Philadelphia. We don't just be like, all right, moving on. I don't know.
Yeah. Hyder says, I bet a lot of sheeple don't like Trump or whatever the idol is, because they are not supposed to. Go along to get along is a real problem. Yeah.
Mm,
Did you
yeah.
see that one? Did I send it to you, Matt? The one I kind of posted on X. It was that don't be Harrison or don't be like Harrison. It has the four people. It has like the six people on a panel, and they're like having a Zoom call, and one guy comes in with like a Trump supporter Halloween costume, and they're like, I'm gonna send you to HR and get you terminated for wearing that. They're like, what are you? He's like, what are you talking about? And then this one guy comes on, and he's wearing like a, maybe a KKK hoodie or whatever, a ghost. And they're like, why
Yeah.
is that not offensive? And he's like, I'm a ghost, man. And then they're just going back and forth. And then one guy's like, why are you guys all tense? So and so voted for Trump. And they're like, what do you mean you voted for Trump? You told me you voted for so and so. And then they just go, and they're like, so people are not maybe admitting who they're going to vote for because they're afraid of what other people are going to think about them. So I think to Hyder's
Yeah.
point, right? People are just saying, oh yeah, I don't like him, but maybe they really want to vote for him, but they're just afraid what other people are going to think.
Yeah. It's almost like there's been sort of a, I don't know if it's like dark shadow or like there's sort of like a negative maybe connotation from whether it's media or what you see on the news or you know what I mean, like kind of that mainstream of like, oh man, like this guy's like, if you just watch the news, you're like, dude, this guy's like pretty bad. You know what I mean? Like this guy's doing some wild stuff. But I think it's important that everybody, regardless of their affiliation, right, is stands up and sort of like has the courage to kind of stand on their own beliefs a little bit and be willing to kind of go against the grain if you think that's right for you and your family or you and your goals or you and your lifestyle, right? Like I think to pinpoint the presidential nominee as a contributing factor in terms of whether you succeed in life or not, I feel like you've already kind of given up a lot of control, so I don't try not to prescribe to that being a major difference. Sure, it can help, it can hurt, but I think you gotta kind of look in the mirror a little bit and put some control in your own hands.
I thought we either offended you and you jumped off, or you got canceled and someone kicked you off. Man. I don't know where you just disappeared.
No,
But I
my
also want
computer
to
started
say,
buzzing and making a bunch of noises and crashed, and I had to restart it real quick.
see, they canceled you. But I want to say what's up to
That's probably
Tommy
it.
Temper. He's coming from someone else's channel, so whoever it might be yours, Matt, he might have. It looks like he might be coming from your channel, but he says anybody can Hey, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and Ned's channel also, though. But thanks for stopping by. But anybody can understand a 25,000 first-time home buyer vote buying bonus. Yeah, and on that, we kind of talked about it last week on the other live I have. Is a lot of times is it pandering, right? Like a lot of these things that they're saying. Is it pandering to get votes, or like you're saying, most people can understand free money or handouts, right? So it sounds like a good idea. And
Well,
as
the worst
usual,
part about the 25K is it's going to hurt the very people it's supposed to be for and enrich the very people that it's supposed to be against. So,
yes, but for a lot of people, they, like you're saying, I mean, like we were talking about, people don't quite understand that, right? They don't see how that plays out, right? So I even have a
yeah.
coworker, Joe, he used to be a police officer. But anyways, but he's in the fire department now. But yeah, when you try to tell him about how the 25K is gonna, like you just mentioned, Ned, how it's gonna, hurt the people that are supposed to help, he can't. He goes, how can you prove that though? How can you, he can't. He says like common sense doesn't matter. And he's just like, you can't prove that it's gonna work out that way. So there's people out there that they see the 25K and they think it's gonna help them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No such thing as a free lunch.
Yeah, Hyder. So Tommy is coming from a paired channel. So I think he's coming from Matt's YouTube channel, who's paired onto this stream. So it's not on mine, but yes, Tommy, thanks for stopping by.
I think Tommy is
It might be
me too.
probably Denver.
Oh, maybe your channel. Maybe that's so sign up to Matt's channel then, Tommy. Thanks for stopping by though. But yeah, But Craig, who's also in the school community, who also has a YouTube channel. I don't know if I have his link saved, but go check out Craig's channel. He's doing some cool things out there also. I know he had a toilet tenant video that came out recently, so go check that out. But he says negotiating terms. He is a negotiator. Yeah. Like I said, I'm voting for the businessman, right? And maybe we can talk about that. What's you guys' thoughts on how there's so much people that consider him or one of the candidates a failure as a businessman, right? They say, he was given all this money, or he's gone bankrupt all these times, or all these failed businesses. And what's you guys' thoughts on that?
That's the most frustrating part for me personally, because anyone who's a small business owner should understand that the first couple of like I've had 3, potentially 4 failed businesses, depending on how much. Like we never even got the 4th one off the ground, so I don't even know if I count that one. you know. But I've effectively lost almost everything I have and had to move back in with my parents twice. So if you go by the whole I feel like if you haven't failed a few times, then you're just not trying. And for someone, especially like Trump, to publicly just doesn't necessarily brag about having gone bust a couple times, but that makes him more real than everybody else up there who's got no flaws and has never said anything wrong. And
exactly.
I mean, I know a couple of people who were in politics who, when they were in college, they would go through their Facebook posts that friends were going to put up. And I had a friend who would literally curate what I could post from parties, and he'd go through and edit in the background of his photos the beers out of his hand, and he'd put a Dr. Pepper in there. I'll pull up some photos for you sometime, Matt, or, it's just like
it's all optics.
It
looks good.
That's how curated everything is. And it's so not real. And then you look at someone like Trump, and the fact that he's gone bust, had to pick himself up by his bootstraps. I know everybody hates that phrase, and figure it out again. That to me makes him more real. And a lot of other candidates don't have that flavor to them,
Mm-hmm.
It seems so curated.
Yeah. I think, if you like take a step back and just kind of see where he was in life, right? Billionaire, big into real estate, had the private jet, could do whatever he wanted. He reached that financial freedom, right? So it's like, we're all 3 of us are kind of on this journey towards that optionality, having the freedom to kind of do what we want with who we want, how we want, right? And so you look at this guy who literally could do that, right? You could go golfing in Mar-a-Lago Monday through Sunday, fly out, whatever the case may be. And so you're willing to kind of turn that life away to come back and, reorient the direction of the country. And what do you get for it? You just get criticized on mainstream media. You get all these charges set against you. Your family's attacked. You go through all this negative stuff where it's like, yeah, you get shot at, right? And, you're still willing to show up, right? So it makes you wonder, like, why do they hate him so much? Oh, because he's not part of their establishment. He cannot be bought and paid for from their donors, their funders, et cetera. So, I look at that as like, a way to just, it's kind of like a litmus test. It's like, you can't really believe everything you see online. And I think there's fair reason why. So.
Yeah, Jovi's. Oh, also thanks, Hyder. He put Craig's YouTube channel in the comments, so go check it out. Let's see. Is it about what has happened in the past, or what he has done and where he is now? And Jovi also says, who cares? He went bankrupt. Who cares? He's been divorced. It means nothing. And then, yep, Hyder always, it's called cycling. When all wealth is lost, except the knowledge to get it all back. Yep, that's all great points. Even the thing about, people, you don't become president just by a whim. For him to hold the highest office and even have a successful acting or TV show, it speaks volumes, right? I mean, you can, like you said, you can fail at business multiple times, but it's always coming back and having successful businesses, right? And I think that's the one thing. I think people that, so like I was talking about my coworker, right? And he just doesn't understand that, yeah, you fail. Even, just buying rental properties, you make mistakes, and some properties don't pan out, and some deals don't work out the way you think they are, but that's part of it, right? And you just got to win a few more times than you lose, and a lot of times you'll be ahead in this game, right? And but people that don't do it don't see it that way, right? They just think you're supposed to be winning all the time, right? They don't understand the risks involved and how much losing is involved. So but yeah, Tommy says thanks. So okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm in the same spot right now. And Matt knows this, I'm getting my butt kicked by insurance rates right now. So, like, on paper, yeah, I've lost multiple six figures and it hurts. But if you look at the net over the past 5-6 years, I'm not doing bad. I don't have much to complain about. But right now, I'm getting tossed around the ring. I've got to reposition some stuff and figure it out, and I'm in the process. And it's, that's part of being in the game. It's not all the stories you see on hitting a home run in Silicon Valley. There's the 10 years before that with all the failures before suddenly you're an overnight success. Everyone always talks about that, but then somehow conveniently forgets it in certain contexts.
Yeah. So actually, last weekend I went to kind of a barbecue meetup type thing with some people in my mastermind, and yeah, a lot of people are, I guess, losing money in a sense from a lot of the syndications they've been involved, and it's part of the game, right? And definitely money was free for a while, and there's a lot of people that probably got a little lax in their due diligence and looking over deals, and we're just throwing money around. So yeah, a lot of people out there are losing, but like you said, Ned, right? You look back at it over a longer period, and you're like, oh, I'm still doing well, right? Maybe I'm taking little lumps right now, but in the long run, I'm way ahead of where I was. And even one of the guys, unfortunately, he's probably in like 20 different syndications, and he probably has like a million something total in all these syndications, and chances are he's probably lost all of it in a sense. And but on the flip side, him and the wife are both doctors, and they make like about $1 million a year. So are they in a? Yeah, it hurts to lose, right? But if you look at it, they're still, they're still landing on their feet in a sense, right? But I think it's more maybe embarrassment. I don't want to speak for this person, but I think initially when I talked to them, we had a coffee one day and we were talking about it, and I think he was mad. He was mad at the operators, and then now meeting him at the barbecue, talking to him again, I almost feel like it's more like embarrassment a little bit, like, oh man, how can I do this, right? So, but yeah, people are losing money right now, and it's not fun, but it's part of the game.
Yeah. Play the game. So you can't just ride the upside forever, right? If you're gonna ride the upside and you're in the game long enough, then you're also gonna ride the downside. So I think, I mean, I feel like there's always lessons learned and takeaways you can make from that, and that's the whole point of making this a lifelong game, right? You can apply those lessons that you learned, that you made those mistakes, and then ideally don't make the same mistake twice, kind of deal.
There's also another point. Kamala could have done the same thing. She could have said, hey, look, there's no proof that I worked in McDonald's. I'm going to go work there for a day and do the exact same thing. But Trump's not going to sit there and go like, oh, I'm too proud to do that. He's publicly been humiliated a bunch of times. So he's used to going and doing stuff. Like, I know a lot of people who would be too proud to do that even for like the press coverage.
Fair.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they got to show only the shine online. I feel like a lot of people. That's interesting, because a lot of people's social medias are very curated too. So
100%. I feel like
yeah,
that's what the appearances are very far from what they seem in reality. So
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I felt like X and now YouTube, I feel like, are the two primary means. I think Instagram is sort of like kind of fallen off. I don't know how the engagement is for you guys, but
I don't use it.
yeah.
Yeah, I still enjoy X. It's fun to me. I mean, it can be toxic, but it is it is fun. But Catherine Miller, thank you for stopping by. She's also in the school community. Joe V says, can I also point out Trump used to be a Democrat? Yep. Just like Tosi, RFK. So all these people are kind of moving to the middle, right? Not that his party matters, but if you go back to the 80s and 90s, all these people pitching about him and against him used to wish they were him. Yeah.
That's a fair point.
People didn't have a problem about him before. I don't know if you guys saw that video about him when he was on, I think it was Oprah or even The View. They were just like, oh, they were just in love with him in a sense. And and now it's just flipped. So it's weird.
Makes you really wonder what was the shift that villainized him, right? Was it something that he did, or was it something that they are sort of kind of doing? So it's
I've seen
hard
people
to
talk about it, and I think it's called purity spiral. And you see it a lot with all right, the purity spiral is the easiest to see in the context of, let's just move it away from politics and say sports. Oh yeah, well, I've seen all the games this year. Oh yeah, well, I've got the jersey. Oh well, and so you keep on adding more and more layers to like how dedicated you are. And if there's any detail that's off, whether it's political party or your football team, even, it's like, oh well, you're not as big of a fan as I am. And so you have all these boxes that if you don't check, you're not as good or you're not as high in the hierarchy of. So I think that's what you see, because it's like, oh well.
Oh, he's
I wonder if
it's
kicked off.
Oh, I don't know what's going on.
They're canceling you today, man. I gotta watch out bringing you back on. But your boy Radion is here. I think he's coming in from your channel. He said, "What's up, fellas?" But I put Radion's Landlord Odyssey channel in the comments, so go check him out. Yeah, I know he's busy, so I don't know. I don't know if he plans to be in Vegas. You might know Ned, but Joe
so I
V,
think that's what it comes from. I think the purity spiral leads to people taking more and more aggressive, more and more like you have to fit in the cookie cutter stances. And so as more and more people move towards whatever their candidate is, if you say anything positive outside of that cookie cutter checklist, you can't be in the box anymore. And so that club, and so you see the same thing with even like environmentalists. It's like, oh well, I drive a Prius. It's like, oh well, I ride my bike to work. So you just double down more and more ridiculously,
Yeah, it reminds me of there's like a term, it's like a Tommy Topper, somebody that's always trying to one up you. They're really like, hey, big virtue signaler, like, wow, man, like, dude, like you really are.
Not Tommy Temper, who's in the chat. Who's not Tommy Temper?
No, Tommy Topper, dude. Tommy Topper, different guy.
Well, you see it in the fire community, in the real estate community too. Because like if someone's like, oh, I only do single family, and another person's like, oh, I only do multifamily, and another person's like, oh, my savings rate's 50%, and another person's like, mine is 60, 70, 80, and suddenly you're sitting there living off toast and ramen noodles. Wait a minute.
To that point, that's what I really kind of like with the one rent at a time or school community. No one's really, I mean, I don't know. There could be people that are doing a lot of really big things and you just don't know about it. But everyone is kind of just like, oh, cool. What are you doing? And then just like, oh, cool. I want to kind of learn about that or hear more about your story. But no one's really seems to be trying to one up someone else. And then that's what I really enjoy about it.
There's like no judgment on like, hey, you do it your way, because they're all just as good. That's just your different flavor of getting to the same goal.
Yeah. That's what I really like. I just got to get that Joe V guy out of there. He's like useless in there. He just does nothing in the school community.
That guy.
Yeah. Nah, Joe is a super good guy. So anyone out there, if you can check out the Monday accountability group that is at, what time is it? 9 a.m. Eastern, I think. But he tries to keep it 45 minutes short, more just about the goals for the week. Because some of the other groups they're great, a lot of information. It's just it's more of a talking story, and they go about 3 hours, some of them. But the Monday one is kind of just a short one, just not too much introduction, is not too much like questions or help. It's more just what do you need us to make sure you get done for the week, and trying to keep it short. So Joe and Max do a great job with that. But yeah, Landlord Odyssey says not sure on Vegas, just like Matt's not sure on Vegas also. Busy with the rehab, he said. Yeah. Let's see. Anything else you guys want to talk about Trump? You guys want to go off on a different? I mean, anything else you want to relate it to? Maybe work ethic or real estate, or just kind of, yeah.
How do y'all think your first job experiences that weren't real estate helped y'all on what you're working on now? Because we talked about what our first stuff was, but did y'all have any crossover skills? Did y'all gain anything from those experiences?
I think there's something to be said for those soft people skills, especially nowadays when I feel like a lot of automation occurs in business, and you might not get as much of that personal face-to-face interaction. I think that's something that kind of I learned going, at Outback is right. Like, being able to kind of carry conversation because their food's waiting. And I'm like, all right, I got a huge line. Like, I got to go ahead and kill some time while the food's still getting ready to package. And I'm like, it's just me and this woman with her eyes straight at me. Like, how's this going to go down? So I don't know. I feel like those skills are important. I think it's a people business. I don't know. Being in the military, we are so behind in terms of technology, innovation, AI, automation, you name it. So we'll still have members and pretty much humans for the foreseeable future, at least.
For me, it was more, I think, just kind of, that whole customer relation, dealing with people, having, like Matt said, customers always right in a sense, right? So, people complaining about their be kind and rewind 50 cents fee or whatever late charge, or, just trying to make sure that the customer leaves happy and just trying to communicate. But it actually was more, not so much while I was there, but just as you kind of saw the progression, how Netflix blew up and Netflix kind of took control of the market. So, I worked at Blockbuster. I saw how busy it was, like the kind of money that was coming in on the, like the weekends are just crazy. And it was a big deal for a lot of, family. That was the event, right? They would wait for Blockbuster, the new releases or whatnot. And, the kids would be picking up certain things, the candies or snacks. And it was just this big family event a lot of times on the weekends. And then you kind of just saw, like, they had laser discs and had, DVDs and, had all this progression and technology. And then, like, Netflix came on the scene and streaming, and you kind of just saw how one company who was controlling everything didn't change their model or didn't adapt with the times. And then Netflix came in, and, then that was it. That's the story. Right? So I found that interesting more from, not so much from the work skills, but just seeing a company that was on top, kind of just like you said, Ned, there's like one location left, right?
Yeah, they're not kind of changing or improving, right? There's going to be, you got a target on your back, if you will, right? You got other companies trying to pretty much take what you have, right? Like, I feel like business is it's like such an ultimate game, right? It never ends. You never win, right? You can win for a short period of time, but you never win forever. And so I think that's, like you said, I mean, it could happen to even the biggest companies nowadays, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've noticed that with my 20 unit. Matt, you've been there. We're just slowly, when I bought it, it was not a great property. It was ugly. Had problems. And I've never turned and put a huge amount of money into it at one time, other than like a new roof. after a storm destroyed it. But just incrementally improving this kitchen, that kitchen, putting in new flooring here or there, and then looking around at all of the neighboring buildings where it seems like they go unattended for years and years and years. Someone buys it and just redoes the whole thing. Whereas I'm just slowly improving the property and making it better and better. I've just gotten to where it just has, more or less stays pretty full because people know that I'm not letting it slide behind. It's just always slowly getting better. And, at some point in the future, it'll probably be one of the premier places to rent in the neighborhood if you want a studio. But I'm not going to do it all at once. There's no need for that. That's probably the slower, lazier version. I'm sure the lumberjack landlord would go through, rip everything out, and just boom, straight to the top of the class. But, that's not necessarily my style or how I want to go about doing it right now.
Yeah, Joe V makes a great point. Says being in policing showed me people don't know how to talk to one another and have a conversation. And yeah, I think that's a great example too, right? I mean, you probably have a lot of police officers that don't get into a lot of altercations, maybe, or because maybe they know how to speak to the person they pull over, or handle the situation a little bit better. So I think even from that standpoint, right, it comes down to communication and being able to have a conversation and talk to people. And I think that's a great point. And I see that even in the firehouse, we go to calls and, we're dealing with a patient, and then you see some firefighters who they're very, structured in their questions. Like they follow what the textbook says and they're asking, and it's just, it makes the situation sometimes a little more challenging because, this person is, maybe they're having a hard time breathing, but yet you're trying to ask them these questions that are following this kind of system you're supposed to go through. But at the same time, it's like, I can see they're having a hard time breathing, and I'm going to, try and address that before asking all these questions. So it definitely can help to just being able to communicate and read people and understand what they're dealing with in a sense.
That's funny. Yeah, apply a liberal amount of common sense to each situation, as opposed to like kind of in our line of work, it's like you just follow a checklist sometimes, and so you can get like super robotic, like you're talking about, right? Like, you got somebody not breathing, and you're like following the checklist, like, okay, all right, knock on the door, okay, ask who's there, how many people are in the building, where's the location of the fire, are there any exits, and then it's like, a person's still having a heart attack or something. It's pretty wild.
Yeah,
it's
Joe
okay to
V
skip
says
this part of the checklist and address the fact that his face is blue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I could walk. Joe V says I could walk into a bar with 300 plus people and stop a fight, arrest someone, and leave without ever throwing a punch.
Wow. See, what I think is what would be great is if, law enforcement personnel, police especially, if they got paid more, because the work that they do, if you think about it, is, you're dealing with people who are pretty much on, if not their worst day, they're having such a bad day that the police have to get involved. So, they do way too much, go through a lot. And so they definitely deserve a pay raise and a pay bump.
I saw an interview a long time ago. It was probably like as COVID was ramping up and they had all those crazy policing issues. And do y'all know who Jocko Willink is?
Yep.
Yeah.
So there was an interview where I can't remember who was asked. It was someone like Rogan or something like that. Was like, hey, how would you fix this? And he was like, from what I understood, he said he thinks policemen get, I don't know, like 1 to 5 days of training and how to do stuff, specific stuff, and for specific skills, de-escalation and stuff like that annually. Whereas if you're really an operator in the military, it's more of like, 1 or 2 days a week type thing. And he was basically saying I would increase the budget and then reduce the personnel on the street, but then add 1 or 2 people in to where you're constantly training everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So you have less volume on the street, but everyone on the street's more trained, more specialized, has more skills. And suddenly those people who are kind of winging it, when they get into specific situations that they don't, hey, this isn't in the book. or I read the book 10 years ago. Like, I don't remember what this chapter was about. And I think that can be applied in a lot of places. I mean, like, I find myself sometimes in real estate going through the motions on stuff where it's like, oh, wait, has this changed? Are there better ways to do this now, since I haven't done this repair or had this issue with the building in 8 years? Is there a new, better way to do this? I feel like refining and going through, looking at things as if you're. I've heard some people say to kind of think about if you were a professional athlete and this was your sport, how would you train for it? You know, our sport in this case would be real estate investing, and I feel like because we're on this channel and we're doing these streams and we're involved in this community, we are doing more than the average. But you know, are you getting sleep? Are you really taking the time to every month make sure that your financials are prepared for when we come to the end of the year and you got to throw everything together for the to do your financials to the IRS and all that stuff?
Yeah.
If you were a sports team, you wouldn't just wing it when it was tax season. Oh, sorry, coach, I forgot to train all year.
Yeah. And they're going to look to the person in charge, and you're going to get fired, right? In this case, when you're going to fire yourself, your business will just fail.
Yeah, I mean, you'll just lose money. That's way worse than getting fired.
Yeah, double whammy.
You can't just go find another portfolio. It's
Yeah, Joe V's just talking nonsense now in the chat. He's talking about firemen need to be given directions and all this stuff about police officers doing more. But he does make a great point here. He says the average police officer will be part of 800 plus traumatic experiences in their career. The average person gets about 5 in their lifetime. Hey, what's up, Frank? Old guy REI. I better go put his channel there. He's doing a lot of cool stuff. And if you haven't,
he's got an accountability group, right?
He does. He actually is
Nice.
Today at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and his is the original hit. So yeah, it's the OG accountability group. It started before the school community. So you actually find a lot of people that aren't in the school community yet. That are still there, but that's probably the biggest one. They cover a lot of cool stuff, so go check it out. But also, Frank is selling ORAT t-shirts, and he's trying to raise money to give to the Blind Center. So I forgot how much they cost, Frank, but if you are still there, maybe post someplace where people can purchase the shirts. But yeah, he's trying to raise some of the proceeds are going to be given to the Blind Center where the Vegas event's going to be held. So if you are there, Frank, maybe you can post a link to the shirts, and so people can purchase it. Let's see, Craig. Let's see, Robert Kiyosaki says the number one skill to learn is sales, people skills, and that's what Zuber always kind of talks about a little bit, is his sales and public speaking course I believe he took in college, and that's what he found very helpful for his success. But that's a great point. Yeah, I mean, Kiyosaki's kind of nuts nowadays, but like he says, right? Definitely, it's people skills and probably learning to read the room and learning, who you're working with, because certain skills are going to relate to certain people better. So that's a great point. Hold on, I'm trying to find Frank's channel to share. Did you guys see that Trump's going to be on Joe Rogan?
Yeah, I think Kamala is supposed to do that too. I'm very curious if they're going to do.
She is not going to do
it. They both should. They need that.
They both should.
She will.
I mean, honestly, she would change my mind as far as her quality as a candidate significantly if she could do a full 3-hour interview with Rogan and come across as a real person.
Right. That's true. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think she'll do it though, but who knows? But
I mean, that's as scripted as they want.
That's the reason she should do it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The fact that we're all like, "Hey, I don't think she could take it." Yeah. She can change a lot more minds by doing it and actually coming across as a real person. Whether we're literally all of us are like, "I don't think she could do it." I think it would end her campaign. But you know,
Yeah, Joe V. Sid. Me and Joe, I hate to admit it, but we kind of think alike a little bit. He says no way she would do Rogan.
Shoot.
But okay,
This
let me
is-
ask
this
you
is
guys.
good.
Let me ask you this though: do you guys text or call people? Because Joe, he doesn't like texting, so he always calls me, and I'm like,
Mm,
dude, I'm busy. Just text me.
I do text.
Yeah,
it depends.
Unless I really need to talk to you or like need an answer and it's time based, you know. But I think the alternative would just be, hey man, whenever you see this, hit me up.
yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, even at work, people know that if they send me an email, it's going to be a couple of days before I respond. But if it's a text, right there. But that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
if you abuse it, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna start ignoring your texts.
Very true. Yeah. But hey, Craig, if you are still there, talking about people skills, like did you learn it like just from real world work or in your business, or did you take a course, or did you go to school to like take like public speaking like Zuber did or anything, or how did you get better at it? What would you say helped you in that if you're still there? Let's see what else. Yeah, I'm excited to see Trump on him though. I kind of that actually posted that on X. That's actually got me tons of impressions. So there, whoa, I think everyone's waiting for that.
I believe it, man.
It's Friday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
Friday.
think so.
Yeah.
I'll double check here. I can be your.
I remember too when he said he wasn't going to do it. Rogan. He said he doesn't want to help Trump. Like, I'm not going to have him on my show. That was what he was saying for a long time. He goes, I don't want to help him in his run for office. But
well, that's why I think he said, "Hey, I'll do both." That way, it's I honestly would like to watch Kamala on there for 3 hours. Whatever the full. I really just don't know anything about her. I think that's the problem.
I think a lot of that too comes from what we've received thus far has been a lot of maybe fabricated, scripted, edited, right from their previous interviews. So it's like we just want a little bit of humanity, a little bit of truth, a little bit of like we want to personify what it's like. What is a 3-hour conversation like? And I think it's good that these podcast platforms are not having that reach, where we're not just getting 1 or 2 debates from a CBS, ABC. We're starting to see a lot. And
it's also not edited.
Yeah.
You can't follow a memorized script for 3 hours, especially with Rogan. He's going to be like, all right, so what do you think is Sasquatch?
That's right. Keep you on your toes. But no, this will be, I think it would be good for the American people to see both. Right. And then add that to their determination or whatever they're thinking. So yeah, I think Joe's hitting the nail on the head here.
Yeah, he said, I think I'm going to start betting she does. Yeah, I don't think she will. I don't think there's any way she will. But it's going to, what is it, 2 weeks away, the election? About 2 weeks away?
Yeah, I can't decide if I'm going to vote the day of or go and just get it done with now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can just go to the courthouse now, right?
I
don't know.
Not sure. I think there's like probably early voting. I registered in Santa Rosa County back in Pensacola, so I just request a mail-in ballot and kind of do the instructions through that way. But yeah.
So how do you guys like how the screen is looking right now? So do you guys like it better this way or like that?
I kind of like the 3 vertical.
The 3 vertical's cool. It'd be super easy to edit for clips too.
Yeah. I don't know why I didn't do this a long time ago.
Is this the feature that we streamed recently? changed, or have they always
No,
had that?
actually, I think I was watching Joe Farrell from Strive for 25. He was doing a live, and then his was set up this way. And I was like, oh shit, does look a lot better this way. So I was
Yeah,
just
easier
playing
on
around
you
with it.
too.
Yeah. But yeah, do
It
you
makes
notice
setting up my
Zoop?
background easier too. I got
Yes,
less
it
to worry
does.
about back there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fair.
Did you guys Zuber's using Restream now? Oh, no, not no,
No,
StreamYard.
StreamYard. Yeah, but he said he didn't
Yeah.
like it, right?
Did he say that? Well, he
No,
couldn't do the Dan Bird one with it because of the
Uh,
sharing the screen. They
um,
had they were
oh, it
having
was easier
trouble.
to
So,
it was easier
so
to share
they
via
went back to
Zoom.
Zoom. Yeah, for Dan.
Okay.
But he
Yeah.
does like it where he can, put his little logo and share the or the questions. So I was like, oh, but it seems to work pretty well for him. I mean, I still like Restream better. I seem to get better um, results with the Restream, but I'm glad he's doing that. The
Does
shine in your
Restream
head
give
is better. Yeah. See, Joe, Hyder must be sleeping
me
because Hyder's supposed to be keeping these guys out of the chat. Uh, No,
bring an
Joe's a
order,
really
to the
Joe's
chat?
are. Oh, and you know what, Matt, and even you, Ned,
What's up?
because I'm not married, but Joe is his biggest issue seems like to get the spouse on board, getting his spouse on board. So,
Hmm.
how did you guys go about that, or how has that been for you guys?
Let's see. I can share a little bit about kind of the biggest things for us. I think in the beginning, it was when I presented. So this was actually our very first real estate deal, and this kind of, I think, kickstarted sort of our what the Mojo mindset, right? It's just kind of aligning both parties in a relationship, focused towards a common goal, right? And so ours was real estate investing, building wealth, reaching financial freedom. And so I think the biggest kind of like light bulb moment was, when Jess saw that when I presented that first deal, I was using the Bigger Pockets calculator, Bigger Pockets, rental analyzer. And I think when she saw that I put in that much work to present this, real estate deal to her, and I was like, hey, these are the numbers. This is what the numbers looks like. And I was like, this is the neighborhood. This is the market. And so I think the biggest thing was like showing her like how much work I did up front to describe what my intentions were, what my visions were. And then, that trickled on to at every end of the year, we'll do like a vision board. And doing these kind of small, they seem very menial like tasks, but there are a way of maybe getting on the same page, vision board, monthly net worth check, those little things certainly add up, so that way we're both doing sort of like checkpoints throughout the year to make sure we're aligned and moving in that direction. So I think that's simplest way is just communicate and get on the same page and kind of align those goals. So how about you, Ned?
I was a little lucky in that when my wife and I were dating and then when we moved in together and did all that stuff, I had 3 of those startups companies while she and I were first dating. So she stayed with me when I lost everything. We had to move back into my parents twice. So as far as whether or not she's got my back, I had that pretty well figured out. And then as far as she's concerned, I mean, I moved into a duplex, started house hacking, because in my mind, it was like, I just lost literally everything. How do I get back to where I was? 'Cause I started house hacking, believe it or not, just because I was like, I can aggressively have more startups faster, lose everything. And if this one doesn't work, I can be on to the next because my burn rate's so much lower. So I used house hacking as a way to be more aggressive with my personal risk level I could take on. I could just literally go all in while working full time, get home. Then I was literally using most of my salary to pay employees, which I would do things differently nowadays. But when my wife first and I first started living together, I was house hacking. And so it was pretty normal. And she wasn't really on page with it until probably COVID hit. And she had just graduated college, and now she could look around and she was like, hey, why are we living in a fourplex? She's like, I know you do pretty well, but like, why are we doing like that? This seems weird. And so suddenly she had all this spare time to think about our situation, because we moved into this, what I considered to be a nice unit. But my version of nice for my first house hack, or our first really big house hack, was, hey, this thing's infested with German cockroaches. It's got termite damage. The paint's peeling off the walls. The bathrooms were done in the 70s. There's green, like weird avocado tiles everywhere. This place looks awful. Isn't it awesome how cheap we got it for? Because it was $81 a square foot for 6,025 square feet. And she was like, what is wrong with this human? And then COVID hit while we were in the process of doing this, because that house I just described, we got off our honeymoon and we closed right before our wedding. And when we came back, it was after the bug bombs had finished fumigating the house for a week and a half. We got back from our honeymoon and moved into this thing, right? So as far as like aggressively putting someone in a situation where they're like, whoa, wait a minute, we just from a nice house in the Garden District, because my first house hack was something someone had already finished, you know? And I'm sitting here and everything's like, the finishes are nice, the kitchen's brand new, all the bathrooms have been redone. And that was just an easy way to get on my balance sheet a thing where I could turn to a bank and say, hey, look, I do know how to do this. Because the fourplex was a way more aggressive deal. And so as we're fixing things up, she can't see what's happening with income in the background. Then COVID hits, she graduates college, turns around and says, hey, are we screwed? I can't really find a job now. And I turned around, I was like, hey, babe, we don't need your income. In fact, I could get fired tomorrow. We're fine. She was like, what? So I had reached the point where technically we could sell the single family house and just move into one of our units. And we're not super financially independent, but like, you know, week to week, month to month, like have to repair this or that. We're like skidding along it, which I mean, super not safe financial freedom, but close enough to where we can go 6 to 12 months and be sweating, but not on the street.
Right.
And suddenly she was like, oh my God, I'm so relieved that like the pressure's gone. And I was like, yeah, that's what we've been building. And I don't know how I would have pitched that to her had we been married and living in the White House with the picket fence, and then been like, oh, hey, I have an idea. Let's now go.
Mm-hmm.
She moved into the war zone, and that was our normal for a while. And then when she was like, hey, we're grown-ups now, after she graduated college, had the real job, was trying to get the real job and stuff, she was like, hey, let's stop doing this. And it wasn't until she realized how much it was helping in the background. So I don't know how I would go about, because a lot of the hard work was already done by the time she realized what was happening. So, you know what I mean?
It's fair.
Because she was studying.
Well,
she was getting a PhD. So she was tunnel vision for a lot of the years.
Ned, you were there last year. So do you think it would be a good idea for Joe to maybe try and get his other half to go to the ORAD event in February?
I mean, to be honest, that was one of the main reasons I brought Lexi. And I was like, hey, we're going to do like a nice vacation. But I want you to meet other people like us. Hey, this is less weird than you think it is. Or, hey, this is still weird, but look at where there are people who are ahead of us, behind us, just getting started thinking about it. And it was a really big relief for her to suddenly, you know, she started getting asked questions by a lot of people who were just getting started. And suddenly she can answer the questions because she's just seen me solving problems and doing things for years. And she suddenly realized she has this level of competence and understanding of how house hacking, real estate investing, tenant management, all these soft skills she has, but never really, she didn't go study them. Mm-hmm. She just learned them by like, hey, babe, I don't know how to pick and decorate this unit. Can you figure it out? Here's your budget. Stuff like that. So suddenly she found herself getting asked questions by a lot of, not a lot, but I don't know, probably 5 or 6 other people's wives who were way earlier on in the process than she was. And she really enjoyed the fact that she found people she could look up to, like, hey, I'm excited for when we get to this stage, but I'm also excited that I can like help ease the minds of all these other partners who aren't quite necessarily, they've got a crazy partner like me.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. Like you said, is you normalize that chaos. And so, you know, it was a journey to get out of that versus the white home, picket fence, driveway, backyard, to redirect that and make such a large sacrifice versus when you're already making the sacrifice, I feel like is a very, very tall mountain to climb. Yeah.
Well, and then for me, it's even more hyper different because before the house hacking, I was sleeping on a couch in an office and she would drive up for the weekends to hang out with me in a city where the cost of living was lower because my office costs were lower. So I had all my partners sleeping on couches in the same office with me. And so like house hacking was a huge improvement from there.
Yeah. When you say it like that, it's like, yo, house hacking. All right, where do we start?
Yeah. So Joe V says she would never go for it. You know, he'd buy the ticket. She would see one speaker and bounce to the casino. So, you know, that's not, you know, I'm just saying, Joe, you maybe got to figure out a way to sell it to her, right? Like tell her, you know, either maybe Joe, you just spend the whole day at the event yourself and she can be at the casinos all day, but after the evenings, whatever activities are going on, you know, that's when, you know, maybe she can meet the other people, other investors, or vice versa, right? She spend the day with you at the conference part of it, and then, you know, after it's her time at the casinos or free time. But maybe try to figure out how you can.
There needs to be a deeper discussion there. I mean, if she's not willing to go to a conference for a couple of days just to try and understand and be a better partner to you, then, I mean, maybe you need to have a tougher conversation.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you can stop a fight without throwing a punch in a bar with 300 people and arrest someone, I mean, I'm sure you could convince her, Joe, or talk to her. But even I did want to
do something like add extra days to the vacation where it's like, hey, these days are for work for us, but then we can go and like the reward for doing that is we're going to go to this show, this restaurant, we're going to go check out the Grand Canyon or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah. You'll figure it out, Joe. So hopefully I'll see you in Vegas. Well, I don't know. Hopefully you don't hang around me too much, but hopefully I see you in Vegas. But I did want to get to Craig. Craig did answer my question about what helped him with his people skills and whatnot. It says, did a career as a realtor and entrepreneur, learn by trial and error. It boils down to being of service and looking out for their best interest, not trying to convince them to buy. Selling ice to Eskimo isn't a sales skill; it's a con artist. And he recommends, where is it? Zig Ziglar and Earl Nightingale. Yeah. And then Chester has stopped by, Wealth Building Journey. So he is now a landlord. He has his turnkey property in Detroit, and now he's figuring out the paperwork and all that. So he's getting situated, and he says confidence comes from competence, a Dionism. Yeah. Jovi says your wife is different. Ask her if she knows more about traffic law than me. Well, Joe, even if she doesn't want to go, hopefully you'll decide to make the trek by yourself and go there and meet other people in the school community, and I think it'll be a fun time, man. Chester says almost there with the paperwork. Yeah.
Getting the closing table. Nice.
No, I'm pretty sure he closed. Now it's just all
Oh, he
the
closed. Oh, okay.
kind of getting the property management stuff set up with the property manager, and even maybe certain filings that you got to do for the city and things like that. So
Gotcha.
it's just a learning curve. And but now I think that's another great point is also why I don't know for me like I only want to invest in Pittsburgh in a sense where you kind of understand after you do a few you kind of understand what additional things for that state or city you have to do, whereas like Frank, I don't know how he does it. He's like in 5 different markets. I don't know how he stays on
Everyone's a
top of
little
it.
different. Yeah.
Yeah. uh,
It's
no, Joe, I
probably
do not want to just hang out with you. um yes, Chester, yes. Yep, registration, utilities, etc. Yep. Yeah. Well, so we've been going for over an hour. It's been a lot of fun. I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to chat. I don't got anything today. So if you guys want to chat about some other stuff, you guys got to run. But I don't know. Anything else you guys want
me
to talk
and
about? Any more
me and
Trump stuff or
me
politics
and
or?
me and Ned gotta go. We gotta grab dinner with our wives here shortly.
That's true. We have
I
not
know
done
it's been
that
a
in a bit.
while. Yeah.
Do they have any cool restaurant deals going on this time? We got a pretty good deal last time.
Oh yeah, we did.
You gotta get with
Yeah,
Stan. Did you guys all three get together with Stan yet?
we have
Oh, you have?
Not,
a coffee shop.
not
Yeah.
significant others. He was
Oh.
he was out on the rig.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, Mark, you
Hugo's
have to
gonna
come down
be.
to New Orleans, dude.
Yeah, Hugo's gonna be in Vegas for the ORAD event. So, if anyone wants to check out Hugo's, oh shoot, his YouTube channel also, Stay Winning Pod, and go check it out. He's back on X. He's killing it again. He got Joe monetized pretty quickly, so that's cool.
Oh, really? He did? Nice. I feel like
Yeah,
my
Joe got.
biggest hurdle is the 5 million impressions in 3
Does he have
months.
a picture of him on a private jet?
Yes, he does. You're making Ned. You're making
That's
Ned
out of,
jealous, Hugo.
that's
Gotta
out of
go
the
check.
that's out of the
Hugo's
Instagram
supposed to be in
optics.
there. Yeah.
No,
See
but
you
that's
when yeah,
cool.
we can make content there again. Yeah, we got to do a live again, Hugo. I keep missing you, but we got to hook up again. But yeah, I don't know. Anything else you guys want to chat about? Other stuff? Oh, Ned, did you get in touch with Kevin, self storage guy? No, did you see my email or?
I mean, it's not a deal for me.
Oh,
A buddy of mine is poking around, and I'm not going to waste Kevin's time with a friend of mine who's I'm throwing him a lot of bones, and he's never executed. So I'm not going to waste my connections on him.
It's fair.
right there, Matt. It's help for you, man. Self storage.
Something I don't know about.
Well, he's in
maybe-
he's in North
Oh, go ahead.
Dakota right now, checking out a self storage. I think he put an offer in, so he's doing his due diligence right now. So
North
Okay.
Dakota. Is he an oil
Yeah.
country?
I'm pretty sure it was North Dakota. He messaged me because I asked him if he could jump on today, and he said he's going to be walking a property.
Cool.
Hugo's going to be going live at 3:45 or 9:45 a.m. Pacific. So in about 30 minutes. Wait, yeah, 30 minutes. So if anyone is still available, go check him out. Go give him some like, subscribe, give him some support. What are you talking about today, Hugo? What's your topic today? But yeah, we got some. Yeah, you bought your tickets. You're all set for Vegas, Ned?
I mean, I got my my ticket to the event. I'll figure out the hotel and stuff later.
Yeah. Still iffy. Still 50.
Just do it.
I know. It'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun.
We gotta make it right. There's your marketing, right? You can be in Vegas showing that you can run your your short-term rental during a busy week virtually from your Tesla. You can do content.
Is that the issue?
Well, we'll just have I mean, I think that's going to be Mardi Gras week.
Plus Super Bowl, right?
Why would you want to be here for Mardi Gras? That's like everyone leaves.
Well, that is a local thing. Yeah, the locals all leave because they're like, this is ridiculous. But we might, I don't know, friends that move down here that from work, this will be their first time experiencing Mardi Gras. And obviously the move is just to come over to our spot, and then we'll walk up to St. Charles,
They're going to make you go to the French Quarter, and I'm going to laugh at you.
No, I cannot go. Maybe during the day, one time every 6 months, but I just can't do it. I can't do it.
The last bar fight I got in was on a balcony on French Quarter. Oh,
there's like nothing good for me there. Nothing. I already know that. I already know there's nothing good for me there. But
so Chester, that also means you should start your YouTube channel. So Chester says, remember to make content to write the flight and hotel off as a business expense. So Chester, we're waiting for your YouTube channel to start. What Hugo said, today's live, he's going to talk about new student loan updates, Bitcoin crash, and breaking real estate news. So go check him out in about 30 minutes.
Bitcoin crashed? Really?
I don't know. It could be click. It could be clickbait. I don't know. You got to tune in to find out.
Yeah, you got to find out. Man, I like that. Chester brings up a really good point. Is when you do go down this journey of either creating content, having a business, right? You unlock a whole new set of rules, I would say, for taxes, business expenses, business write-offs, right? You go out to Las Vegas, real estate event, you have real estate business, meals can be write-offs, the airfare can be write-off, the hotels, the Uber, so it's
There's also a bunch of other weird stuff, and I'm not a tax guy, so don't quote.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is
you can I've heard of people. There you go. I've heard of people.
Yeah.
I've heard of people, kids or pets and wives and stuff like that. You can give them salaries and stuff like that out of the business so that you can write off basically allowances and things like that that would normally not be tax deductible. There's all sorts of stuff because technically someone's modeling through your thumbnails.
Yeah. Right, because that's what they said. You get your kid, right? You get your child. You can write up. You can pay them so much a year. Then they put it in like a Roth. Yeah. Then they put it like in a Roth or something. It's all taxed, right?
Yeah, I think he gives his children tiny equity positions in each of his investment properties for all the social media work they do for him and stuff like that. And then the way they make money is they get part of the distribution monthly as their allowance. So like as the property makes money, they get part of the income.
It's different set of rules. Yeah.
I thought at first you were gonna say you could write off your wife. You said something about your wife, and you can write. I thought you were gonna say you're gonna write that off.
I haven't figured that out yet.
All right, fellas. Well, it's been fun. I'm glad you guys were able to hop on. It's always good catching up with you guys. What's this modeling gig pay? Joe, don't worry about it. You ain't getting paid shit, man.
Dang, man. Calling him out like that.
Dude, you should see how much shit he messages me.
That's good. It's good, man. It's good back and forth. I like it.
Yeah,
it keeps it exciting. Keeps it spicy.
Yeah. Joe's a good guy. Expect the shitty. Well, so one, he's a police, or he was a police officer. Two, he's a Packers fan. So that's like the worst. That's like the worst on my list right there. So
you already got our division rivals right there, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Bears and Commanders this Sunday. Jaden Daniels stays healthy.
Yeah. Well, Mariota did. They still look good. Yeah.
They were playing the Panthers, so anybody was looking good this year playing them.
I don't follow football much, but I kind of just go off my wife's skin tone when she's checking her fantasy football app on whether or not it's been a good day or not. Sometimes she's a little redder than others.
That's funny.
So who does she play with? Like,
who's on her roster? I don't know. I don't even know who the quarterback of the Saints is, and I live in New Orleans.
Well, no, but who does she play with? Like old high school friends or other moms, or
she joined like they have a big inter office fantasy football thing or whatever. And it's funny, like I'll go to a party and people are like, "Hey, so what do you think about blah blah blah?" And I literally will like move my wife and be like, "Sports," and then I'll just leave.
Yeah. Sports, go.
Pretty much.
Man.
Yeah,
Which is
cool.
funny because I played football. I don't care who's on the field.
It's fair.
No, yeah, I definitely don't pay attention as much as I used to. I just pay attention more for like just the groups and just shit talking and having fun with it. But I definitely don't follow it as much.
I mean, I really enjoy watching the game. I just don't like. I will cheer, and it drives my wife nuts. I will cheer for the other team just because they're doing something cool.
Dude, just want to watch good football, though. Nothing wrong with that.
Did you see that Todd Baldwin post? I don't know if it was on Facebook or Instagram, but he kind of talked about why he doesn't watch football anymore.
No,
he just said it. Yeah, he used to be one of the regulars on Zuber's channel. He was really one of the big rent by room kind of guys.
Okay.
And then he said a bunch of stuff on YouTube and got his channel basically shadow banned.
Yeah.
Really?
Plus, he has a young child, so I think he just doesn't. But anyway, he talked about how like it's like 3 hours for the game, but if you look at it, the game is like 15 minutes maybe of actual gameplay that you're really paying attention to, right? So there's the timeouts, the commercials, the commentators talking, the replays. So the if you were to watch it, it's like a 3 hour taken out of your day, right? Whereas actually, like if you could watch it in 15 minutes, in a sense, that he's like, I could be at the gym, I could be with my kids, in these 3 hours, I could get all these things done, and that's kind of why like he doesn't really watch football or sports anymore. And I just watch a lot of maybe like the clips or highlights, and I don't know when's the last time I watched a full game. I don't think I've even watched a full Super Bowl recently. But cool, yeah. Thanks for doing this. We'll now we have our screen set up now.
Dude, just just taking that and refining the mold, man. Looking good.
What are you guys streaming on right now? I cut off LinkedIn and Facebook for mine because I'm trying to just see if the streams are better. So I'm only on X and YouTube today. What are you guys on?
I'm just YouTube.
I believe. I think if I still am on X and YouTube, I'll tell you here shortly.
Because I thought the stream was a lot better today. Yeah, I thought the stream was a lot better today, but that's also because the fiber optics was finally installed in this neighborhood. So that was done yesterday. So I think that helped out.
Well, I think you run into a problem when everyone's trying to stream to like 5 things.
Right.
That's just too much.
Mark, would you get a Starlink strictly for the business? Strictly for the business?
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah.
I've got Starlink. Not in this office, but my other one.
Is it good?
Yeah. Ned said it was working during that hurricane storm that came through.
Dude, we were streaming during was it Ida?
Okay. Yeah.
No, it wasn't Ida.
It was this year, right? It was this year.
Yeah.
No.
Was Ida this year? I don't know. They all blend together. They're all annoying. But yeah, I was outside walking the dogs.
Francine.
There you go.
That's what it was.
I was outside walking the dogs, and literally the rain's going sideways. The dogs are trying to go to the bathroom, everything. My wife's inside watching Game of Thrones, and I'm sitting there holding my phone, and I look up, and the pole that the Starlink is attached to is like kind of flexing and wobbling around in the rain and the wind, and I went inside, I stuck my head, and I was like, "Hey, babe, is this streaming all right?" She's like, "Yeah, there's no problems." And I like went outside. I was like, "Dude, I could take a picture right now and just like tweet to Elon, like, hey, Starlink's working great in the middle of the hurricane," and he would have retweeted it. But I was just, I don't know how to do all that. Like, do you tag people? And I was just like, I'm not going to figure that out. So.
That would have been cool. Next time.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up, and I'll leave us with one final. I don't know if you guys saw this, but did you guys see there's like a science, like environmental study and all these things about the carbon emissions for like the cargo ships on why they think there's more severe hurricanes recently and things like that.
That's such a
So I
load of
guess
crap.
It's not weather
no,
manipulation.
no. Well, it's in the science, like these government
Did you
documents
just say
and
trust
journals.
the
So
science?
no, well, okay. Hear me out first before we'll leave it on this. But so basically, because of the reducing the carbon emissions from the cargo ships, those emissions were actually forming a cloud over the ocean. So now, because these emissions are being reduced, these clouds are disappearing, but now the ocean is heating at higher temperatures. So because of the heating of the water, the humidity and drying, and these are causing possible more frequent
So
hurricanes and whatnot.
because we fixed the pollution issue, we increased the cost to the economy on a volatility basis with how bad hurricanes are. So by fixing the environment, we made everything worse for ourselves.
Sounds
Is that
like
what
the
you're
Green
saying?
New Deal.
I'm not saying that is coming out of your mouth. I'm just saying if you guys saw that articles and studies on it, but
no.
a lot of
Send it to me.
people
Send it to me.
are, but a lot of people are kind of like, see, we can't control the environment and climate, or so like we're trying to do good things, but I get it, but sometimes there's
Well, the problem with any future-looking projection is that it's exponentially more wrong the further in the future you look.
all right.
So like you look at like the
Chester.
probability of it being right, and it just expands. Like, hey, we could be 300% off in 5 years. We might know
Oh,
what the
now
numbers
we're
are tomorrow.
Now we're going down the rabbit hole, so we better wrap it up soon. But Chester says scientists can make Category 5 hurricanes a decade ago with high-powered lasers. All right, the tinfoil is coming out.
Dude, I know.
All right.
Put on the hat.
Yeah, well, I have to get Aaron on. He's a firefighter in the DC area. He is hilarious, man. So he was on last week, but he's funny. So I'll get him on again. But yeah, fellas, thanks for doing this, and we'll get something set up for the coming weeks. And thanks everyone for stopping by, and have a great Hump Day Wednesday, and go check out Hugo's live if you guys have anything to do. All right, fellas.
Thanks for having us on. See you, Mark.